Thank you very much, Orcs, I guess, for that
Yeah, I was
count.
doing a countdown too. Wow.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure you were saying the same number over and people are not
Yeah, I was
helping me
copying.
at the
I was
moment.
copying, technically.
It's tricky, but welcome back to NLC. That's where we are. We're going into the final game of the day. Goldberg, Singularity Tricked, another close one.
Yeah, I definitely think this one is quite a banger, actually. This is some of the two teams outside of the academy teams that are doing fairly well, and right now they're both tied for first in their group. So the winner of this in Division A will be topping the standings for now. Obviously, there is still more games to play, but getting that edge against the other team is obviously pivotal. And so far, the standings right now is that Tricked, they're down a game to Singularity. So for them, this means even more, just to make sure that Singularity won't have that head-to-head.
And moving straight into picks and bans on this one, I think it's interesting to note Singularity actually coming off the back of a loss to Granite yesterday, which was a bit unexpected by a lot of people. But you know, if someone's going to turn up and ruin your day, it may well be that Granite roster. Ziggs and Lucian first two on the ban list, and it's going to be fascinating to see which 2 or 3 power picks make it through this time.
I mean, generally speaking, I think a lot of these teams are going to be putting their focus on towards the mid, jungle, and bot lane, where top laners can be a bit of more weak side if they want to, even though we traditionally see a lot of strong solo lane picks here. And I think for that is that both Singularity and Tricked have a lot of pressure in their mid laners. Like, they gain a lot of their advantages from the pressure they opt into from the mid lane. So Polson versus Fury, I think that's going to be a great matchup today. And we might see some of these contested picks in the mid lane come through as well, like the melee ADs. I've already seen the Lucian that we know Paulson like to pilot, and then actually the Varus pick being banned by themselves, something that Voxner has been extremely prominent on in these last 2 games that we have seen him play this champion.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to mention as well. The fact that Tricked are putting so much pressure down on Dragda's pool, and now they're also hitting Prospect with the Thresh as well. And it's kind of like a head scratcher, because I'm sure we've seen Lucky play the Thresh, and they're banning it on blue side, but now either Viego or Gwen are going to be left open. So I'm expecting that this is why Trick did this. A lot of picks that are usually banned are left out in the open. The Listens, the Renekton, well, not Listen, but now Gwen and Viego both up for grabs. I'm not... Okay, that sounds much better, because I was like, if you pick Diana here, you're giving both the other ones away, but I'm expecting Singularity just to grab the Gwen.
And it looks like they want to play some skirmishing potential as well. The Karma and the Aphelios locked in as a lane together. And this obviously could be both of them going bot, but this could also be Fury piling in the Karma, although I don't know if I would like him onto something that's more facilitating. Usually I'd like to see Fury be facilitated for his team instead. But this does leave a powerful rotation over to Tricked as well, where they can go for more of this backline dive if that's what they want to, or they can secure bot lane for themselves.
I mean, they could pick up the Gwen. Like, it's still available on the map. You obviously, Goldberg, you've like set with there coming through. Diana is an option that they could look to pick up, but it's going to be the Ezreal coming off through in this bot side. We'll have to see if they decide to go for the pair, if they want to get one of these stronger supports that's made their way through, or if they want to be picking up one of these other power picks before it gets banned away second rotation.
I would honestly go for something like the Leona here to try and pressure the Aphelios as much as possible. But Gangplank is like usually one of these tale as old as time counters. I don't necessarily have to blind pick it here, because Gangplank is usually not a pick that gets banned away these days. I do like both the Viego and the Jace. What I'm seeing right now is that potentially this could be the 2 solo laners, and we're looking to pinch the AP pool when it comes to the jungle. So we're looking at Diana's, we're looking at Lilia's. The Gwen might very well be snatched away by Team Singularity here as well.
I mean, I'd love the Gwen here. She's super good into the Ezreal. She's super good into the Jace as well, just because of the fact that she'll have the Hallowed Mist to play around with. And maybe they did just hover it there to make sure that Tricked will ban that Gwen, even if they did not want to play it, because you can clearly tell Singularity did not have enough priority on the Gwen to go for it on one of the first 3 picks here. So moving into the second ban phase, there is missing a support from the side of Trick. Karma can obviously still be a mid laner, but most likely going towards Prospect and the bot lane. So there's top laners and there's junglers supports to take care of from the side of Singularity.
I'm liking to see the Leona being banned away, because it does pressure the Aphelios a lot. I would most likely like to see the Gwen being banned away as well, because with 2 AD solo laners, assuming that Taxer is not piloting that Viego in the jungle, it's going to be extremely hard. The duo of Gwen and Viego put so much pressure in the skirmishing power that they have in the sides of the river that I don't think Rubble at this point can match. So you're not going to take the Gwen away because Singularity, you've got way too much AP damage on your team already as it is with the Karma and the Rumble. So I'd really like to see it banned away here.
Now with the Nautilus as well and the Leona being banned, the support pool is just being trimmed. There's still the likes of Alistar, there's still the likes of Rail if you want to go for some of these engaged champions. And the fact that Trick are banning out supports themselves kind of insinuates that they believe this Karma is not going down towards the bottom line of the map there, that it's actually going to be towards that mid lane. And now with the Gragas ban coming through, this could be kind of to bait Trick as well to ban out the Alistar here, because if you leave the Alistar open, then the Gragas counter is no longer there. There's no Nautilus, there's no Leona, there's no Thresh. So a lot of these usual counters to Alistar is kind of being taken away.
There's lots of routes. Of course, we saw the Ezreal with the Braum last game. Could be going that direction. We'll have to see exactly what Trick want to be pushing. It's going to be the Ornn, actually, so not going for that support, looking into the top lane. So Alistar still available if they want to pick it up. If Singularity want to move this Karma elsewhere, they could look for it. If not, could be the option for Trick.
I think that's what they're looking for here. Obviously, you could still keep the Karma Flex alive by just picking something that would be up for the top side here. And I think that would be the game plan for Singularity since they're taking so long. But obviously, I'm completely forgetting about one of the strong support that's still up and available, the Rakan coming through from this one, which does still provide you with some of that shielding, a bit of healing in the laning phase as well, and quite a mobile champion. But the problem is right now, you don't have any champions to follow up the dive with. Right now, Rakan doesn't have any champion to E with, so it does become harder for you to start these engages, because usually you want to be there together in the front line with somebody else rather than you just alone.
I think it's more of a defensive mechanism possible here, because Gwen is still up and available, Diana is still up and available, both whatever AP jungle they choose to go for, and Viego, except Lilia, because she's not that aggressive as oh my god, as a Diana or a Gwen, that both are open but none picked, which is honestly kind of puzzling to me right now. Take it away, because I not like the Lilia whatsoever here.
So I think the Lilia comes through because they already have some poke in their composition with the Pulse and Jace being there as well. So they kind of want to mimic the Zoe comp, where it's like you get a sleep onto someone with the Eve or the bowl, or the little rolling ball, whatever it's called, and then you get the accelerated gate through with the shock blast from Jace. Obviously, this little mechanic does require you get yourself ahead in the mid game, but you do have the mixed damage profiles that you need here from the side of Trick, where there is some skirmishing potential, but a lot of this is reliant on Pulse and getting ahead. Like, I feel like if Pulse is not fed on the Jace, he might just fall behind to the point where it's going to be tough for Trick to do much.
Yeah, I just find it extremely hard that Trick have put themselves in a position where they don't necessarily have any hard engage. And then when they get engaged on, all they have is the Braum to fall down to. All four of them are extremely squishy champions. Like, maybe the Viego is like the tankier one of them when he gets some items rolling. And on the other hand, you see that if anyone makes their way in, Seth is just gonna yeet them back out. Rakan has so much peeling. You've got all the shields from the Karma, and if they need to re-engage, they've got the Equalizer, they've got the Rakan ultimate. So I went for Trick on my prediction, huh?
I still think you're fine with that. I still think you're fine with that. I honestly still think you're fine with that, honestly, because from the side of Singularity, there's a lot of go buttons where you'll be playing towards Distracted, and you can go in with the set and with the Rakan, obviously. But I also feel like there is the disengage on the side of Trick. You can get some pivotal sleeps down. You can get some good glacial fissures on towards the Braum as well, where you'll be able to play with the range from the Ezreal and the Jace. But I will give it to you that the Trick composition might be harder to execute than the Singularity composition, and often our games are dictated by who's got the easier comp to execute.
I'm sitting over here, enlightened Singularity voter, ready to watch this game. And a couple of other guys who are waiting to watch this game are our lovely casters, Scoundrel and Orcs. Take it away.
Also an enlightened Singularity voter over here, by the way. And yes, I think the... Orcs, please, tell me why Tricks are going to win this one.
Well, I think the thing with Singularity's composition is, they're really good as a death ball comp. They're really good at like setting Dragdor up for success. But I feel like if Set is behind, if Rumble is behind, even worse, if Aphelios is behind, I just don't think this team comp has the follow through. Like they need their carries to be strong because they have so much support, so much CC to facilitate them. And another thing is like, I like that they have a lot of CC to set up the Rumble, but I feel like the composition of Trick isn't one that you can really pin down easily and make them stay in an equalizer. And I feel like we could have a scenario where Trick just choose to kill whoever's closest and Dragdor can't even necessarily get in range. There's a lot of poke threat from this Trick composition as well, which is threatening. but there is some things that aren't ideal with it, and there's some things favored towards the side of Singularity. Particularly, I'm not a fan of the Braum here. I don't know what Braum does here, period. It's not good into Rakan. You don't pick Braum into Rakan, you pick Rakan into Braum, because obviously you can never really stack the passive on him. On top of that, it's like, who's going to be close enough for you to stun? If it's set, he's ulting, he doesn't care. Anyone else, you know, you're not really blocking anything. You can't block equalizers. I mean, I guess in those one niche scenarios where like Devox may ease into Dragdar, you can jump in front of him and block some damage, but I just think there was better support picks here in that situation. I'm not a fan of the Braum, but, you know, I guess we'll see how it plays out. I kind of agree with the perspective, though, that the Jace Ezreal was a pretty good rotation and has a lot of value here, because this is a pretty short-range composition from Singularity, you know? They have the Equalizer, they have the Moonlight Vigil. Outside of that, you're pretty mid-range to melee for the most part.
It is an Ignite Braum, though, so a bit more aggressive. Maybe looking to just utilize that in early skirmishes. You know, Braum always has the advantages of the early skirmishes just being strong in those smaller skirmishes because of the passive.
Yeah, I just feel like it's one of those things where, I mean, I guess they have a lot of auto attackers, so maybe they're thinking that sort of area. But I want to see them level. I mean, I think they're late to level 1 invade. I would like to see them level 1 invade. If you pick a Braum, that's why you like in this scenario. That's why you pick him, because it's like I just struggle to see who you're locking down, and that's kind of why the exhaust isn't that valuable. Like last game, Braum was like the goated pick, right? You know, it was so good. Enemy team dives, you got Braum passive on everyone. There's a bunch of melee people diving inside the Kindred ult. Here, I don't see it. So we'll see how it pans out. It's not obviously a useless pick. I just don't like it here compared to other things that have been taken. And I guess we're gonna see how it pans out.
Well, I'm rooting for Singularity. It does have a lot of impact this game, just so you know. This is a relatively important game in terms of seeding in Division A. Both teams now.
You had them there. Oh my.
What? I'm confused. Help me. I'm a boomer.
Crossfire has this really bad habit of inting bot lane, like level 1 and level 2. So he W'd in, I believe. I'm pretty sure, and then he didn't have any way to get away, so they hit the Braum passive. Actually, no, he has Q, so he didn't even W in. He just walked up. He just walked up. So that's he. I don't know if that's weird.
That's a classic Crossfire, really, actually.
But he just walked up, got hit by the Braum passive, has to flash. Now he's flashed us, and it's just like, it's honestly a bit frustrating, because I'm not joking. If you haven't been watching the NLC, you can go back and look at Singularity's games. You only look at the first couple of minutes, right? And this is not like a one-off. This is not even me exaggerating like a couple of times. Busy's disconnected, which, you know, as we're talking about him, it's been like a really consistent thing to the point like it's actually hindering Singularity. You know, it's kind of like the previous game with that bot lane 2v2 kill that shouldn't have happened. These things shouldn't be happening. They're not like the enemy team are like, you know, the best bot lane in the world and they're forcing these. Prospect just, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's disrespect. Maybe it's just like he's not focused, but he keeps making these early game mistakes in the laning phase, and it kind of makes the lane really difficult, which is frustrating, because if you exclude that, I think he does a good job in general. It's just this one little bracket, level 1, level 2, sometimes level 3, where he just makes these in plays, and it's I don't get how it keeps happening. Just like step back, you know?
Yeah.
Chill a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of given the lane away now for Singularity. They're struggling to get any kind of pressure here, and you can see the Devox and Lucky are in a great spot. I was going to say just before whatever we saw happen there between Prosper and his lane, this is both teams on 10 wins right now. You know, a win here sets you up for a good spot for maybe claiming first seed in Group A. You know, claiming that top spot, which is pretty coveted. I think you get a bye through the first round.
It's crazy to think about, because like you say that first spot, and it's like BTXL are in Group A. Oh,
Vazor is just in there onto Polson, forces out the flash, so it's flash for flash overall. But that does give Fury now a window over the next few minutes to actually set up a potential gank and put pressure down onto Polson, with a gank from Nulty or even just in the 1v1.
Yeah, and I like the concept of that play, but there's a bit of a CS discrepancy in the top lane. And that's what I'm not a fan of. And I know it's like, oh, well, Karma doesn't need farm as much as other champions. But, like, you're like 15 CS down already. not optimal. I think maybe there was a freeze top lane. I didn't actually get to see. I was focused on molding at Prosphere, and also we had the pause. But I assume that like maybe Weasel butchered the wave a bit and felt he wasn't comfortable to stay top and had to back away. I'm not entirely sure, but it's kind of crazy that at 4 minutes you're already this far down in farm. And definitely not a good spot to be in. Because again, Karma doesn't Karma doesn't need that much gold. But this tends to be something we lean into later in the game. It tends to be that the early game, you're farming your own lane, you're getting gold, you're able to afford your really cheap support items, and then later in the game, you hand off the gold to your teammates to make them stronger. People like Dragdar. In the early game, there's no excuse not to be hitting minions. You know what I mean? It's not like Dragdar's going top lane to catch waves or anything. And so as a result, it's just a bit of a rough spot. He has, made up some of this CS discrepancy, but still not ideal. And we'll have to see whether things pan out from that, whether they manage to punish Paulson for his lack of flash.
Basil kind of catching up a little bit, but he's obviously smashing a wave now into Madley's tower, and he'll start to accelerate that lead a little more. I think Nolty is just kind of power farming at this point as well. Kind of heading towards level 6 as quickly as he can, so he can start to just walk onto the map with his ultimate. Looks like Tax is essentially following suit and is farming a little quicker than Nolty, actually. Has built up a relatively decent CS lead in the jungle too.
I think the big thing was the fact that we had double scuttle for the side of Taxa established, so a bit of assistance came in to get both of those. Obviously, one of the things with the Rumble is you don't get off to a cleaner start, thanks to you no longer be able to use your W level 1 to stack a Pete. Paulson.
Paulson is...
Both supports just chilling that.
Prosphere has walked up, isn't going to find the engage, as Paulson will probably just walk away. I think Lucky...
Sorry, you can go on. I jumped in a bit too soon.
No, it's all right. I just think Lucky really just came to give Paulson a good reset.
Yeah, and we're kind of seeing the bot lane develop a bit. Now this level 3 was hit. Prosphere has a ton of safety. Dragdar's able to shove the waves in. This is what the lane should be, right? This is how the lane should go. Level 1, though, Brawl Mesdrill's pretty strong, and I think Prosphere failed to respect that. That's why he fell behind. Well, not fell behind, that's why he lost his flash. But now you can see they're able to push those waves in and free them up to roam, and now they're looking for Paulson.
I mean, that is a very big engage. I mean, neither Paulson nor Lucky have that flash right now. Could be a good opportunity for Prosphere to look for an engage, but gets slowed down by the Winter Spike. Can't make it happen. Vasil is really struggling versus Madley right now, though. You can see in that top lane matchup, Madley really getting the better of Vasil, and has to be careful now because Madley is level 6. There's a lot of execute potential here from the Viego.
Yeah, you have to be really cautious, and you don't want to be giving kills over early to the Viego. Obviously, scales really well. One of the big reasons Viego was so good in lane is just he has so much passive healing on the minions, but they did tone that down. But he's still a monster in the skirmishes later on. Now they're looking for this dive. Weasel's ult, so he needs to ult W.
He's gonna ult W as well. Gets the sleep for the time being. Madley is there. I don't know if he's gonna buy enough time. First blood comes through, but he trades 1 for 1. Can't get the possession. And actually, I think if you're Vasil, you take that every day of the week.
Yeah, you're happy with that one. You burn both flashes on the enemy team, and you trade 1 for 1 on the kills. You have TP to go back up if you want to immediately. The big thing there is the ult W. So when you ult on your tether, it instantly heals you based on your missing health. And obviously, Wazer was quite low. When it reconnects, it will heal you again. And notice how Taxa had to run out the tower to stop the second heal coming through and also to stop from getting rooted. And now he's been forced out his own jungle.
Nolty's level 5 as well, just going in on this.
Did burn his flash there to force that play. So not really too favorable for Singularity, especially since he's not even in a position to stay around for the camp.
Not quite sure what happened here, but Prosphere took a huge chunk. You can see Dragdar's just kind of clearing the wave as quickly as he can. Then Voxnay happily just farming up, got that sheen, gives him a little bit more trading potential.
Now he's got the backup.
Yeah. I think this should be a good blue take here for Nolty. Give him a little boost in experience and keep him level in terms of CS with Taxa.
Obviously, getting that level 6 for the Rumble, really impactful. And that's the thing. The changes we saw for Lilia took a lot of power out of her ultimate, you know. A big... Oh, she didn't engage here.
They're going to slap Paulson. That's an early flash. He has to walk straight over the equalizer. Tries to knock Fury away. Does have the support of Lucky and Taxa coming in. Nolty's overstepped here, but trades 1 for 1, which really is a little lucky consider the circumstances. It's a great collapse from the Tricked roster.
Yeah, it was nearly close, but all in all, I think Singularity not too bothered with this. They got the TP from Devoxne. There was a big concerted move from Tricked, and the answer here is they're going to be able to take another play on this bot lane tower, just thanks to the power that Demolished and also Dragdar with the Crescendum to shreds. So, you know, 1-for-1 in terms of kills, but overall, pressure in favor of Singularity here.
Gold lead ever so slightly edged out in favor of Tricked. Probably coming majority of that top lane CS discrepancy that we're seeing, because everything else is relatively even across the board.
But yeah, I was saying before about Lilia. So the big change to the ult is sleep duration is reduced at each level. It no longer slows as much. So when you press R, it slows them down and then they fall asleep. The slow is a lot weaker, like substantially. So as a result, it's just not as powerful at like locking those people down. It's kind of what Lily was good for, is you could throw the bowling ball and then ult someone for a pick, or if you got a big AoE ult to the team fight, it was super impactful. They took a lot of that power away and they put it into other abilities, give her bigger AP scalings, gave her healing on a passive. And so as a result, we see a Lilia who's quite a bit different to when we last saw her in competitive play. So not as ult reliant, I would say, as something like the Rumble, but also not got as many tools for sort of locking everyone up.
Been relatively quiet though, apart from these couple skirmishes here and there. Both teams kind of giving the due respect to each other. Kind of talked a lot about the way these comps want to execute on their team fights or execute on their win conditions, and Singularity just have that kind of like big, strong wombo combo style team fight. Kind of you just layer everything on the Rumble ultimate, and then you have Dragdar to follow up from the back. Is there a, is this going to be difficult for Trick to deal with? Is there a way that Tricks want to kind of approach this team fight?
I think honestly, it really depends on how like things are approached. But the thing with Singularity is they work very well grouped up, right? They get a ton of value from that because they can layer CC with the Equalizer. They have the AoE shielding. Rakan has multiple targets to dash to. They love those 5v5 scenarios. But one of the big things with Tricked is if the fight is more split, more spread, if they're able to land poke, Tricked are more in favor. So Singularity want to be getting on the objectives, grouping like they are on this dragon, that favors them. And so Tricked, it's not really about necessarily, I mean, gold's always going to be a factor as a power spikes, but a more spread fight definitely does favor them. And if they're able to land poke like this.
It's not good enough yet, though. The Drowsy does come through. That's going to be a nice zoney equalizer. Actually going to force out the teleport from both top laners. Vaser will speed up his entire team. They may be giving Fury over, but obviously has that Haymaker to give the huge shield if he needs it. And he won't get dropped under tower. And that will just be Singularity walking away. Both top laners forcing their teleport as well. So no major advantage picked up for either side.
Yeah, very hard to approach. As we said, the sleep from Lilia nerfed there. Oh.
Rosve goes in, finds the charm. Doesn't quite land it onto Lucky, though. And the Moonlight Vigil won't get enough work done to threaten Denvoxne and Lucky. They'll walk away from that engage.
Yeah, hard to do much against this lane. Aphelios not at that point where he's absolutely shutting. And obviously very safe lane between the Brawl Mesriel. So we'll just be able to back away in that scenario. But yeah, as I was saying, it was difficult for Trick to really get on a Dragdar there. The sleep shorter. They didn't really have any flank potential. It was kind of more of just like a poke thing for the True Shot Barrage to come in, but it wasn't enough. Singularity got to the objective first. They set up there. They had vision control. And it was very hard for Trick to push in without landing poke. So I think that's going to be an important thing looked at in this game is who has control of an area, who has vision control, who's there first, are all big factors. And that often comes down to priority, reset timings, tempo. If you reset and you're back on the map first and you're in position for the dragon, then you'll be able to obviously hold position there, have vision control, and makes it more difficult for the team in this game.
Oof. Dragdar just about gets away with that one.
Just managed to dip out. And yeah, I mean, it's been a pretty chill game. Herald is in the pocket of Taxa, though, so that's where we're looking forward to go next. Top lane seems, somewhat likely, I would say, given that there's only like 20 seconds left on their Herald. And that will get thrown down.
Don't think they're going to be able to clear the wave out quickly. And if there isn't really the support here from Singularity either, does feel like this is going to drop. And that'll be the first tower of the game, going the way of Tricked. Happily convert that off the back of the Rift Herald here. Vasil just managed to dodge away. Obviously, the lilting lullaby could have come through from Taxa there. Vasil, I don't know, Vasil. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really sure about that play. Managed to flush away, but Mad Lead is there as well. Vasil, ultimate comes through. Heart stopper, and that's going to be an easy pickup. Vasil asked for that. I'm not gonna lie.
Yep. I think he nailed the analysis on that one there, External. He asked for that, and he got what he asked for. Tricked, happy to punish that one and take the kill. We do see on the other side, Singularity take a tier 1 in return, deny a fair bit away from Denvoxney, but he's not too concerned. Oh, we're going to replay that topside play. I mean, what are you looking to achieve here? I think maybe the thought process was, we're taking tower bot, can you buy time? And Waze was like, yeah, I can buy time. And he did, you know, technically he did buy time. Time in the death chamber to respawn.
Gray screen is the hyperbolic time chamber. We all know that. You come back stronger every time.
0-10 power spike.
It's what you need on Karma. Is what you need on Karma. Singularity's still okay though. I mean, I say that they're 3k gold down. So actually the
yeah, there's a bit of a gap in the top lane. Obviously getting that tower take in the first tower, and there was a bit of a share of that towards Taxer as well. I think just a big thing is Madly having that substantial advantage. It is going to be a factor. And the thing is, you know, yes, Wazor isn't a high resource carry. Karma is someone who you find being like lowering gold compared to your carries. But the problem is, if Tricked are able to have a ton of gold across several people on their team, the pressure mounts up on Dragdar. Because like with Fury and Nulti, they have a lot of impact instantly in the fight, you know, at the back of their ultimates. Fury can carry through a fair bit because, you know, he's bulky and has a sustained AD damage. But for the most part, in the longer fight, you're relying on Dragdar. And he's getting picked on by the enemy team by things like this Viego. It's going to be pretty painful.
Yeah, I think you're going to have to be a little careful about Dragdar's positioning, and it's not exactly like... I mean, he has got the Karma. So there is the shielding from Prospero, there's shielding from Karma that is going to keep them relatively safe. There is another pause, temporarily, though. And we'll see what the deal is as soon as we get back into it. But looks like there's maybe a voice issue. So we're going to hopefully get on top of that as quickly as we can. Second Rift Herald being taken here, Tricked uncontested. Can set up another tower take maybe in the mid, get a good siege off there. Tricked having a good early game, you know, got a good gold lead to work with. I think Dragdar is probably a little bit of a thorn in the side. They're scaling up, but for the most part, it's a good, strong top side right now for Tricked, and they're making good use of it.
The thing is, they don't need to play... Like, the problem with last game, the reason why the composition was so good was because the enemy team was very much needing to tunnel in on you, right, from Nordavind. We saw that they had the way they played their fights was to fly in onto this back line, and then all these defensive tools came into play. We got so much value from the Aphelios, and it just worked really well as this front to back comp. Trick don't really need to play around Dragdar like that. An Aphelios loves when there's a bunch of close range champions up in his face. Not too close, you know, you want a bit of space, you want some peel, but he can just shred everyone, right? We've seen that so many times before, especially with Runans, you just melt them. With this Trick composition, that's not really going to happen, you know? No one needs to run up to you. Then Voxney and Paulson can hit you from miles away. If Madly and Taxer and Ranger you, it's probably because they're either sleeping you or you're low enough that Madly's looking for a reset. So I think, you know, the pressure's on Dragdar, but these fights are a lot harder to play than we saw with Riddle's composition against Nordavind. And as a result, the fact that Trick to pull ahead does have me pretty worried.
Well, you know, as you said, if they can accelerate this lead, it's going to be more and more difficult for Singularity to get to a point in the game where, you know, Dragdar is big enough to carry. And I think when you're running something like the set Rumble, like, you're supposed to have these stronger mid-game team fights. So you're supposed to be able to utilize the ultimate combination, the lockdown that you have to make that, you know, easy enough for you to carry with. Now you can see Dragdar's got to be a little careful here, but we'll just back off towards that bot side river. Got the support of Nulti coming through from the sidelines. We have that third dragon spawning. That will be something that I expect Trick to want to fight.
And the critical thing is after the last, you know, few minutes, these teams have been playing on opposite sides of the map. And Singularity have very heavily established vision control here. And it's allowed Prospect to find this flank. This is kind of Hylissang-esque, what we see from him. He's in position to get on this back line of Trick and start a fight that favors them. So, you know, I said Trick can maintain distance. This won't happen if Prospect gets on top of them, and he is fishing for this.
He's keeping himself just out of vision range right now. You can see Dragdar's taken already pretty low. Prosper, has he been spotted out here? Well, he definitely has now. It's like he's found him. And he's going to use that dash over the wall. We have the Rift Herald dropped mid to buy a bit of space. Nulti is the one that is tagged right now by the Lilia, and you can see Dragdar taken very low. I believe Singularity may have to end up giving this dragon up. If the very worst, they have to look for some kind of big engage using that equalizer. But the poke, this is what you want when you're running an Ezreal and a Jace. You want to get on the objective. You want to utilize Fog of War to make it impossible for your enemy to face check. And a couple of shock blasts, and that is good enough. Tricks can't face check.
Yeah, I'm sure Singularity have a good team fight, but they're not getting the opportunity to even show it off. It's just poke, 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 reposition, poke. And that's why that flank from Prospect was so pivotal. If he was able to get that quickness into the knockup with the equalizer on top, Fury getting positioned to run in, that would have kind of forced Trick to be committed into a fight they couldn't get away from. But because they found him on the flank, because Singularity couldn't get position, we saw the poke land and instantly Trick to have an advantage. And this is kind of where we're seeing these comps actualize, where it's very difficult for Singularity to even make the fight happen without being forced away. And obviously, you know, big mid-game spikes are very much sort of in the forte of Ezreal and Jace. So there may come a point later where the poke isn't as threatening, but it's just so hard to deal with now.
Can't get this mid lane tier 1 down either. So Singularity, now having lost all of their tier 1s in every single lane, be a little careful. They're still about 3k gold behind. That has been relatively consistently that Trick has held over the Singularity roster for the time being. And as you said, they've got to just find it. I think they needed to be a bit more decisive around that dragon, but unfortunately they were looking for the perfect opportunity and that didn't really present itself for an easy fight. Dragdar still is just hyper farming, getting a huge amount of experience and gold shoveled into him. You know, they do know that he is basically the key win condition right now. But Denvoxney's not far behind. I mean, Denvoxney's essentially keeping pace with both experience and gold. So it's not exactly like Dragdar's been given an extreme lead here. It's a very, very slim one to work with.
Yeah, I think the thing is, like, maybe if we saw... I mean, honestly, I actually think it's down to the mid lane tier 1. If you reimagine that dragon scenario, but mid lane tier 1's down, you could see Fury TP flanking, and it's like, Trick don't have, like, a safe tower to run to. But the problem was, I think, Singularity are aware, if Prospect goes in, it's very hard to actually catch Tricked out where they aren't, just like an arcane shift away from a tower. And I think that's why they felt like they couldn't go for that, and why this mid tower is so important. We did see... So this bot wave's being pushed in by Fury. No one's there right now to answer from Trick, but they are taking the opportunity to push in deep on the top side. But now they know they have to answer this wave. Madly will reset and go there, and Trick just responds to that mid wave. We've seen a lot of back and forth from these teams as they rotate around the map, leaning into these side lanes to apply pressure. And although they haven't picked up anything, you can see them fishing for these windows to find deeper vision and contest control. Like, you can see how here, as Fury pushed up, dragged on Prospect to come to meet him. They get some deeper vision. Now they're pulling back. And you can see Tricked aware that, there was this lean coming to the bot lane, could push up a little bit more on this top side of the map and look to contest there. Just very much like ebb and flows as these teams are fishing. Because as much as I've said that I feel like Tricked are favored obviously in gold, but also in how the comp's functioning, if they make a big mistake, they will pay for it.
And at Singularity, you've also kind of limited an early soul win condition for Tricked as well by picking up the first 2 Tricks of the game. So that's going to give them an extra, 10 minutes of scaling in their back pocket if they need it. That's a little bit touchy for Dragdar. Has to be careful. 1/5 of his HP chunked from a single seed. So again, has to respect that Lilia, the engaged potential that she has with the Lilting Lullaby from a very, very long distance.
Yeah, and she actually scales a bit better. Like, they gave a pretty heavy AP scaling to a passive now. Like, that was one of the big changes they did. So it's actually quite threatening in the late stage of the game. The sleep potential isn't quite the same, but the damage, the poke, is very much there. And you don't need to add much poke to Trick's composition. They already had that in spades. So as Taxa does pick up more items, it's going to be painful. And again, Dragon spawned in a minute 10. It's an Ocean Soul, which, in terms of extended sort of poke scenarios, Trick love. Singularity would adore having this one to mitigate some of that poke pressure. But it's a minute before. Trick are on the map. They're trying to get control. And having priority in these areas is super important for either of these teams.
See, Madly just dives away from Prospect's grand entrance here. Does look like Singularity want to find another kind of angle on this dragon. They don't need to go for it, though, but it would allow them to set up Soul Point, which would be a nice way. Madly, though, Diego's got so much zoning potential. Like, it's ludicrous how much zoning he gets from just a single ability. And Tricks really have to respect that every single time. They're trying to play the poke war with a couple of harpoons from Nulti, but they are severely damaged. Again, just the zoning of that ability, back up and available. And Singularity have to respect it. You can see
Yeah, and you
Prospect by himself, by the way.
He's fishing for the flank again. And the thing is, Tricked can't chase him because he's too mobile. They can't just run after him. So now he's in position to look for a flank here. But he has essentially been caught here.
Yeah, he's going to try and catch out Madley. Madley's the target. They want to take him down, and he's forced to flash away. No equalizer used. It's a pretty good start for Singularity if you're looking for something to work with at this Dragon. And you can see that Singularity feel a little emboldened at that play. But without the quickening, they don't really have a good follow-up on top of that ultimate from Nolty, and you can see that Nolty backing off massively. They're going to try and push for this mid lane tier 1 off the back of the Dragon take.
Yeah, and they just keep feeling like you could see how they're constantly grouped, Singularity moving together. Whenever they push in, Trick just back off and spread. And, you know, they got the ult from Madley, which limits his power in the team fights, but he just TP'd back in, ready to join the fight once more. And Singularity, having that quickness down, definitely hurts them quite a bit, and they really are struggling to pin down anyone from this Trick roster and make anything stick. And this is one of the things that I've kind of seen with a lot of Rumble games. There were Rumble games, you know, especially when he was more in the meta and before the nerfs, where his ult would just be like so insanely good and it was so hard to play against. And then there's games where it's like, it feels like it's just poke. It just feels like it doesn't really do anything, because anytime you throw it down, the enemy team, you know, like they'll dash out of it or they'll walk out of it. And the problem is like there are tools to keep them in place, but Singularity are really struggling to make them happen. And because, you know, you have these defensive options from Trick, Nolty's not getting good equalizers. And it's not really on him. It's just on the fact that things like the Ezreal are very hard to force him to sit in an equalizer and make him actually take considerable damage. And as a result, Singularity's team fight, I don't think we can really say they've had a team fight in a long time in this entire game, actually.
Well, there have been 5 kills in this entire game.
Yeah.
We're 23 minutes in and only 5 people have died. It's not exactly like it's been action across the map. And Rumble is not one of those champions that really likes this kind of game. He wants to get into skirmishes in the mid game. He wants to be looking to be as aggressive as possible wherever he can. And Nolty's kind of been hamstrung a little bit with this comp that Tricked have brought to the table. And Tricked are playing it patiently. Yeah. They're playing it patiently. They're looking for those, they're just essentially utilizing their patience to work in their advantage for poke. And that's working out well for them.
You see, with Paulson pushing in the bot side, they're actually feeling confident to push this wave, and they know they have a numbers advantage, and they're trying to force this opportunity, but again, they can't really dive here. So Paulson just gets to crash this wave in and back away, and nothing really comes from it. Again, this mid-tier 1 just feels unshakable.
You can see the Dragdar feels a little emboldened now, though, because Vezor's picked up the Ardent as well. And that's obviously going to empower Dragdar to be a bit more aggressive and be a bit more forward-focused when he's looking to position around these skirmishes. And actually, you can just see by the style of play that Dragdar's now employing, that is something that I think Trick should start to worry about eventually. Like Shirelia's is a good way of trying to force the issue. You still do have the engaged potential of flashes and then the Rumble ultimate as well. And Dragdar's definitely being given the reins to carry for Singularity. But you did say that the pressure is on his shoulders. It does now, and the way that I see Singularity playing, it kind of is that win condition now. There isn't really, I don't think there is another way that Singularity aim to win this. Those massive shields that Dragdar is getting, it is clear as the way that Vezor is pocketing him that it is essentially going to be Dragdar or nothing here.
Yeah, and I feel like the game's getting to that sort of critical mass point where either Tricked get a big objective and are able to secure the game, or Dragdar becomes strong enough that like things start to become a bit tenuous. Because right now he is scaling up well. He's up in gold compared to Voxney. And, you know, as much as that poke is still going to be relevant, Wazor's able to shield quite a bit of it. And, you know, the big mid-game spike of Jason Ezreal is sort of being moved past. I know they're still strong beyond that, but they are starting to move past those 2 item spikes. And if they're not finding success here, it may not be easier later on. But they're still very much in control of this game. And it's up to Singularity to find this window back in, to find this opportunity. But now let's have Fury answering Pulse. And actually, they find a window to push up. Tricked aren't ready, and this tower's going to go down, which is a big step. We talked about before how impactful that mid lane tower was in terms of, you know, being able to push deeper, find those flanks, but also just in finding priority and moving to the side. And now, Singularity, they have control of the Dragon area. And they're setting them up for a fight.
And you can see they're actually just rushing in, trying to find some kind of angle with Vazor, but they can't quite do so. You can see the Harrowed Path again. I hate that ability. Harrowed Path is such a dumb ability, dude.
Yeah, I mean, do you remember when Akali Shroud worked on the turret?
Yeah.
I hate stealth, man. Oh, Dragdar taking a fair bit of poke.
That's a nice chunk. That's the exact target that you want to land a bit of damage down onto.
A bit more of that, and again, it's not a team fight, but it's one for Tricked scenario.
You can see there's a bit of a flank being looked at here by Paulson. Wants to land these shock blasts, but Fury actually doing a great job of body blocking. You can see how tetchy they look. They just don't look comfortable right now, Singularity, at this Baron. Sorry, at this Dragon Pit.
Yeah, they're so concerned because a big bit of poke landing on Dragdar would really hurt, but he has been able to heal up a bit from this dragon. Singularity want to fight quick. They don't want to be waiting around for more poke to land.
You can see Fury actually keeping occupied madly. There's a decent chunk of damage, and again, great ability, by the way. Madly just able to escape. I mean, they're looking to go. I mean, they're trying to force this one down. It is going to be the smite by Nolty that comes true. There is the suplex right into the middle of the fight. Dragdar is untouched, and he's starting to pop off. This is what Singularity wanted. This is the team fight they were looking for. Get the setup on the objective, and you get the win. It's not over yet, though. Denvoxne is really beefy, and he's starting to deal a significant amount of damage, but they'll take the dragon and a 2-for-1 trade overall.
Yeah, ends up coming down to basically a 50-50, and Taxa kind of fluffs it a little bit early on the smite, and then the ensuing fight, you see that instant impact from Singularity. They start to find favor, but then the disengage comes in, and again, they know they have to back away. That was like not even a full fight. That was a couple of seconds of a fight, but instantly you can see what Singularity wanted this entire game. So see them setting up for this situation. Taxa smites a little bit too early there. Doesn't even able to find it, but then the engage comes in. The set recon combo. Equalizer doesn't really connect, but Dragdar's able to start pumping out damage. But then they start splitting. They start disengaging. Singularity have to pick a target to prioritize, and that's when Tricked can re-engage. Dragdar just can't deal with Denvoxne at this range. And we got, 10 seconds of a team fight, and it worked for Singularity. But they need a little bit more to have a full ace on Tricked and to lead into a Baron. Oh, Dragdar just picked up a Bloodthirster, by the way. He is tired of being poked out.
That's a big pickup, actually. But I mean, that's what you want, right, for Singularity. You want to set up on the objective first so that Tricked find it more difficult to get the consistent poke off. They don't have the fog of war advantage in their favor either. And then they're forced to walk towards you, and that's when Singularity strike.
Also, I do want to say, Fury Serpent's Fang, I think this is the highest value Serpent's Fang game I've seen in a while. Everyone on the side of Singularity has shields. With Dragdar, it's obviously the Bloodthirster, but everyone else actually has a shield in their kit.
You meant Paulson, right? So Paulson said it's fine.
Paulson, yeah, sorry. Yeah, Paulson. Yeah. The Serpent's Fang, like everyone on the enemy team has a shield, whether it's from items or from their kit or both, in like the terms of Fury with the Stark. So pretty nice buy. It's good that that's a decent item at the moment, but also a lot of value here. But now here's the problem. Look at that massive shield on Dragdar. Even without the Karma, I mean, okay, it's insane with the Karma, but just the Bloodthirster shield gives you a buffer against poke. So this is kind of the point we're talking about, where we're past the 2-item spike. Dragdar's been able to itemize defensively. Trick's poke isn't as threatening as it was a moment ago, and they may need sort of new solutions. How do they deal with Singularity?
Singularity aren't even bothered about setting up a Baron either. They're happily just continuing pushing mid lane waves. I mean, I think they're essentially asking the question of Trick. They're saying, Trick, do you want to go for Baron, mate? Give it a go. See if you can do it.
I think they're just going to force mid until they get a fight, because I don't think Trick have a good flank. Who's really going to be the one on the flank? Because the only one maybe you could do it with is Madly, but I think he just gets decimated if he goes near. Now they're looking for the fight.
They're going in. I mean, Denvoxne's the target. They can't quite find it with the grand entrance, but you can see they don't get punished for that play either. Double Shirelias, by the way. This is a very quick team. Singularity, they're going to run at you very fast.
Honestly, just a shame it wasn't the Cloud Soul, but yeah, a lot of movement to get into these fights, and we're now a minute 30 from this next dragon. This is Soul for Singularity, and the extra sustain would be problematic to say the least, especially these bulkier members on Singularity. And often when I talk about Ocean Soul, tankier characters get more value from it, right? Because they survive for longer to get more healing. But in this scenario where you have things like Wazor's shielding, you're going to get value out of that healing over the course of the extended fights, because Singularity members survive a lot longer than they would otherwise. So definitely going to be powerful in this situation. Singularity don't have control of the area. They have to go for resets to pick up items. You can see Dragdor has that QSS, and that's given Trick control of the area, but Singularity not afraid to pressure the mid lane and move over and threaten that dragon.
I mean, but it looks like Singularity just say, well, you want to go for Dragon, we're going to go for Baron.
Yeah.
And the day, it's not solved for Trick. They need another Dragon after this to make that happen. Well,
This is actually such a big thing. Whether Dragdor can hit something or not, whether it's a minion wave, a camp, Dragon, Baron, it's the difference between him just being able to ignore the poke or getting chunked out. And you can see now he can hit the minions, he's fine. But if there's ever a point where he's in the river, there's no minions to hit, and he gets chunked.
I mean, Crossfit is just going for it. Lucky's there. There's the suplex on to the equalizer. And again, Dragdar, no one is touching him. Who can touch him? Dragdar, look at him go. He's just a beast on this Aphelios. He's had too much time to scale up now. Singularity pull the trigger, and that is the instantaneous engage that this teamfight has. Then Voxney is still scary, though. The rest of Singularity have taken the hits for Dragdar, and you can see that Taxer actually gets the kill. And this is the problem, that once you've made that initial engage, you actually struggle to do much more out of it. And again, there's going to be another pickup for Den Voxney. I mean, this is the issue. It's a double kill. I mean, this is a problem. This is a real problem for Singularity.
And they're just going to lose the dragon. Just fight the fight, win. They won the fight, but they lose the extended play. The poke is huge. Den Voxney is finding these windows. And actually, Den Voxney might luck here.
Oh, doesn't quite land the missed shot. Yeah,
remember he has the Serelda's grudge, so would have slowed him down, but doesn't find it. But now, jungler dead, right? Only person still dead on Pulse on Trick is Pulse, and he's just TPing in now. This is 5 members against only 3 of Singularity. Dragdar doesn't have the Karma to back him up, so this should just be a Baron for Trick. Off a lost fight, they get the Baron and the Dragon.
I think Singularity just honestly messed up. I think you need to look at the HP bars following this and think, well, just reset.
And the thing is, they get this great engage on a Paulson and Lucky, but the problem is, I've said already, I think this champ's useless this game, and you can kind of see he just gets decimated there. Paulson is a lot of value to lose, but then Voxney's still up, and they keep finding these poke angles. Before this, we saw Taxer actually take down, I believe it was Prospere with his passive burn, and then they're just firing the poke. And the thing is, they don't have those engage tools. If they can't get on top of Ezreal, Lilia, Jace, they just poke them from a distance, and it's so hard to play against. They need these engage tools. They need to win the fight, and they need to do a little bit more than just get a few kills. They need a full ace if they'll be able to confidently take objectives off the back of it. Okay, we had a little bug with the champion damage. It definitely wasn't 0. We can see that, Dragdar's pulling a lot of weight for his team, but for the most part...
So is Voxney.
Yeah, Trick are just doing so much more. And the bars are, maybe a little bit misleading because it's kind of relative to their side. But 16,000 for Den Voxney, 13,500 for Pulse, and even Tax is at 10,000. The damage output is really there for Trick.
Actually, you can see that Tricked pretty confidently pushing up onto this bot lane inhibitor tower. Right now, Dragdar can't clear it as quickly as he would like. In the meantime, though, I mean, Fury's just going for an inhibitor. I mean, if they trade inhibitor for inhibitor here, that's probably not the worst thing in the world, given that they're going up against the Baron. You can actually see a back comes through, and actually, I mean, Fury might just get this.
Yeah, I mean, he takes it, and now Madley has to answer. Fury has TP. If he disengages, he can TP in. There's actually, I'm not sure if that's a full ward or a zombie ward. Oh, it's a zombie ward. Oh, man.
It's a big flank opportunity. Big flank opportunity.
Yeah.
That's a massive way. Singularity get away with murder.
Yeah. Thank you, Observer. Now they've moved mid, actually. There is that deep ward. You can see Fury's hovering around the base. But I think Tricked are moving back now. But yeah, I mean, considering they lost the Baron, I think Singularity pretty happy with the outcome. But this has been a tense game.
It means a lot. It means a lot for both of these teams in terms of that seeding. They're obviously all qualified. That's the engagement to Den Voxney. Den Voxney doesn't have. The player's just dead. He's down. I think he used Arcane Shift and they just went for it.
Yep. And he's a critical piece for Tricked. Now they still have time before the objectives spawn. If you're going to die, that was the time to die by all means. But still not a great death. No flash from Den Voxney. He used it in the last fight. And the Arcane Shift being used aggressively was a window to punish. And now Singularity looking to push through mid. There's only three defending from Tricked.
No, I mean, they're going for it. They want the fight. They want. I mean, Braum's useless. He's so bloody useless. Just gets absolutely eaten up by Singularity. I mean,
they might have to end. They might have to end here.
They're actually looking to end right here, right now. Singularity, Dragda, with the weight of the world on his shoulders. Everybody in his team designed to support him, but the decisiveness of Singularity is what's winning them these games. And it is another big inhibitor take. And we obviously have a minute until the next dragon. Now, the game's not over. Not by any stretch of an imagination. The game is not over, but it is in a good spot for Singularity right now.
Yeah, you can see the critical things is the poke is far less concerning. Singularity able to withstand it with the shielding, the healing, but then also on top of that, if someone from Trick missteps, that movement speed you were talking about, the engaged potential, Prospect has the quickness, he has the Shurelier's, he has the Dead Man's Plate. So look at this. Arcane Shift came in, instant response, quickness, dive in, dead, 1,000 good, shutdown goes to the Rakan. And then here, Braum just can't do anything against these AoE comps. He's just so irrelevant. Gets taken out once again. And now, Singularity, they're 5,000 gold down, but at this point of the game, it's not too relevant. And a lot of that gold disadvantage is because Razor is on a budget. Dragdar, 303, almost 400 CS is pretty darn strong right now, and they are setting up this Dragon Soul for either team of this.
I really like this from Razor. Sorry, from Madler. No, it's not Madler. It's Paulson. He's just trying to threaten the inhibitor at the same time. And that's bringing Karma away from the team fight at this point in time. And obviously Karma is a big integral part of keeping Dragdar really strong in these team fight situations. Now we're obviously going for a dragon. This is a flip. It's going to be a flip, I think, at the end of the day. Obviously, Paulson right now. Paulson's... Are they going for the end? Are they going for like a crazy backdoor attempt? I mean, Basil's trying to 1v1 at this point in time. Everybody's teleporting. Everybody's teleporting. They have to be able to get this and get out. Get it and get out. Have they got enough time to do it? They are really going for the end right now, but we already see Fury's back. He's going to buy time. This is good enough for Singularity. Surely they can keep this game from going down. Massive win for Fury as he gets a huge face breaker into a haymaker as well. And that is so now secured for Singularity. It was an XL style play from Tricked, but they can't pull it off.
They just didn't have the time. They couldn't stop Fury from going back, and now they're looking for the long play. Prospect has ultimate and flash. They aren't letting this one go, and it's a 5v3 on the map.
Madley's caught out here. He has that Harrying, but obviously, as you said, Prospect has got the quickening ready to go. He's just buying time. He's trying to loop them in, trying to bait them into like a sheepdog, really, trying to get them in the gate. As Madley now over the wall, they're onto Paulson. They don't care about Madley. They burn the GA very early on here. I think Singularity should be able to convert. That feels like a nail in the coffin for Tricked. They don't have inhibitors to work with in mid and bot. Obviously, it's now a few seconds until the Baron spawns as well, but maybe Singularity don't feel like they need it.
They have super minions pushing in. It's one wave here, and the thing is, the minions make Ezreal so much weaker. He can't just fire Qs freely. It's either hitting the frontliners here or hitting the minions. Very hard to play around this, especially with the Jace down. They're pushing for the end.
They're just going for it. They're just looking for the engaged equalizer over the towers to make it so difficult to find a safe space. That's a huge amount of damage from Madley right now, but he gets slapped back into the team. Fury buys time, face breaker into Haymaker, and it is big. Dragdar still on the back line, untouched as he gets a shutdown of Taxa. But they may have bought enough time now. But Singularity have got a key win. They've picked up the jungler, and Baron is up. That's where they're heading.
Yep, they're going to get the Baron. They've got the Ocean Soul. I don't think Tricked are strong enough to contest them. They may try it with the TP from Paulson, but...
Oh, look, Ocean Soul's too good, dude. Ocean Soul's just too good.
Yeah, the game's on a knife's edge at this point. I think this could be a throw, but the TP's coming in. Prospect is there! He's got ult!
There. He's got quickening, and he quickens straight into it. Oh, Paulson, led to your death.
There's a lot of places to TP that didn't have to be that one, and the poke from Devoxney alone is not enough.
I mean, maybe looking for like a crazy true shot barrage steal here. That's maybe the only thing they've got going for them. It doesn't even have it off cooldown though. And that will be Baron secured. Now, Inhibitor has respawned on the bottom side of the map. So at least a little bit of respite for Tricked.
It's a 41-minute game, and we've just seen Dragdar recall. And he's actually picked up a GA. I thought he was going to go Infinity Edge. So no Infinity Edge on this Felios. But anyway, we see the fight. And actually, look at Madley on Dragdar here. How much damage he does there. I actually thought he was going to take him out. Really solid play from the Viego and a tricky fight to navigate it, but the re-engage comes in. This set does so much damage, gets the GA proc for Madley, but the wave is cleared out is the critical thing. Singularity back off, they're able to heal up and pick up the Baron, and then this TP, there was plenty of other places to TP. You know, there was those minions to the left. There was minions in mid lane. There's a lot of angles. That was not the play, is all I'm going to say. And right now, it kind of feels like, you know, before we saw Singularity unable to find fights and desperate for them. Now it feels like Tricked are desperate not to fight, but kind of being forced into them in a lot of situations.
Oh, you can see Prospect hanging around in the jungle. I mean, Lucky had 0-3-2 on Lucky, by the way. Couldn't have been a more useless support, I think.
Yeah, not feeling lucky. And again, I don't want to flame him individually. I just think Braum is garbage this game.
You can see Madly maybe looking for a side lane pressure, but the waves are already here, and Singularity are knocking on another inhibitor tower. Surely going to get inhibitor off the back of this as well. I don't really know what Trick can do. Is there anything that Trick can do is the question. Another inhibitor taken. Fury looked for the face breaker, but couldn't find it. Now at Singularity, they don't have the minion waves there. This is a little bit precarious as they don't have the minion waves to work with. The Moonlight Vigil comes out. That's a huge amount of damage onto Dragdar. They were looking for it, as you said. Madly has to flash away. Nolty and Fury buy enough time, though, to allow a second inhibitor takedown, and now they're heading towards that bot lane. There's a third one on the cards, as you said. Dragdar is so... Oh, my goodness. That was half his HP in one go.
But there's no real engage from Tricked. We see Madly trying to jump in, but the minions mean that Dragdar just heals up.
And Fury has to be a little careful here. If Prospect doesn't quite land the grand entrance, you can see Singularity actually running with their tail between their legs. They can actually take out Nolty. This is a good start. I mean, this could be a game-ending play as Prospect finds the quickness. They're actually running down mid lane. They're TPing. They are mass TPing to the base right now. Dragdar and Vasil, I don't know if they can get away with this. Tax is chasing them down. He's looking for the way, the angle in here, but I think with the speed ups, it might be enough time. It would just be an inhibitor take, but that is better than nothing. Tricked essentially get something from nothing in this scenario.
Taxa.
Oh, Taxa. Zhonya's is there, but is it enough? He won't. He'll drop the Dragdar. Fury, he smells blood. Wants to go for the engage. He's tanky as hell. The grand entrance is big into the suplex, but that is going to be Haymaker buying enough time. Loads of true damage. And on the back line,
you have to jump on Dragdar.
Oh, Madly mistimes it. Can they take down Dragdar? Yes, they can. Oh my God. What has Singularity just done? They've completely thrown this game away. Trick, they're going to win this for sure. Prospect can't defend this by himself.
Nolty's up with the equalizer. I don't think it's enough.
I don't know if it is.
He's going to equalize the wave.
Oh, he's trying his best. That's a teleport. Brilliant teleport. Zhonya's doesn't buy enough time. You can see desperately Prospect trying to hold the wave, and Tricked, they absolutely got something out of nothing here. They did not need to get... I mean, that should have been Singularity's win every day of the week, but a simple fumble at the end throws it down the drain. And Tricked, what presence of mind. What a brilliant play from Madly. That man, with the set possession into complete burst on Dragdar, it was nutty. Absolutely nutty.
I just find it insane that he found so many windows as a Viego against that comp to get up close and personal with the Aphelios and to chunk him out. I mean, that was a long game. It was a wild game. I think both teams should be praised because it was a journey. I will say that much. But, you know, we have a team of analysts to break this down. I think we could talk for hours about this, but I'm sure, you know, that's what they're here for.
Yeah, I think when they're feeling ready for me to take that over, when I get my okay from the producer, I think we would love to hear from our analyst about the game, because my voice is kind of done so. So I'm gonna send it over.